Hello guys, so in this tutorial I'll be talking about collections in Python. So collection is actually a built-in Python module that provides useful containers data types. So container data types allow you to store and access values in a convenient way. So we'll be discussing about some containers. The first one we are going to discuss is called counter. Counter actually is like a dictionary. So counter actually stores their elements as keys and their counts as values in a dictionary. So to use counters, we have to say from collections import counters. So say I have a string here called maybe A, and I have a lot of A's, a lot of B's, and a lot of C's in here. And now I can store it using I'll actually declare a variable here called my counter, and I'll say my counter is equal to counter of A. And now if I just simply print my counter and run the program, if I just run the program, okay, so we are actually getting a dictionary here, a dictionary with keys and values here. So now we have a lot of methods that we can actually use. So if I say print my counter dot most common, this will actually print the most common element here. So if we just want one or the most common one, I'll say 1 here, and if I just run this program, you can see that A is the most common one, and it is of count 5. So we also have some other methods like print my counter dot items. This will actually print out the entire items, and if I just run the program, yeah, you can see that both the key and the value pairs has been printed out. So the entire dictionary has been printed out. Now if we only need keys, we can say my counter dot keys, and that will only print out the keys. So I run the program, you can see that the keys are A, B, and C. And if you just need the values, you can say print my counter dot values, and that will actually print out the values. So yeah, if we look here, you can see that the dictionary values are 5, 4, and 5. So that is actually the count or the number of A's, B's, and C's here. So these are some things that you can actually do with counter. And one final method that I would like to show you is my counter dot elements. Okay, this will print, or this will actually print all the elements as a list. So we have to actually convert this into a list. So if I say list, now if I run the program, you can see that all the elements according to their counts have been printed here as a list here. So this is all about the counter container. So let's take a look at the others. So the next container we are going to be discussing is the name tuple. It is actually a very lightweight object, and it is similar to the struct or the structures. So to actually use it, we say from collections, and we'll import named tuple. So now let's create a 2D structure here. So I'll say point is equal to named tuple, and we say point inside, and then as the second argument we have to specify all the items that we have to specify inside this name tuple. So I'll say x and y, and let's say pt is equal to point, and we can specify what we are meaning or what we meant by x and y. Here we can actually give values to x and y here. So for example, I can give 0 and 1, and if I just print this, if I just print pt out, and if I just run the program, you can see that these two values has been actually assigned. So I can actually get the individual values. I can say pt.x, and if I run the program, you get it. And now if I say pt.y, so now both of them will be printed. So the next thing, or the next container we are going to be discussing, is the ordered dictionary. So the ordered dictionary can actually remember the order in which you actually inserted the item. So after Python 3.7, if you are actually working on a Python version above 3.7, the default dictionary or the normal dictionary can also do this. But if you are actually using an earlier version like Python 3.6 or before that, then you may need to use this to actually remember, for your program to remember the order in which you inserted item into a dictionary. So to use this, we say from collections import ordered dictionary. So then we have to say ordered dictionary is equal to ordered dictionary and now we can actually add elements to this ordered dictionary. So I can say ordered dictionary dot or ordered dictionary of, we can actually insert items like this to a dictionary. We can say it's 1, and then we copy the same thing, and we just have to change the values inside to B maybe, and then to C, and to 3 here. And if we just print the ordered dictionary, and if I just run this program, you can see that it actually remembers the order in which you inserted a dictionary. So after if you are using a newer version of Python, specifically any version above 3.7, so even if you use a normal dictionary, this should actually work, because now even the normal dictionary actually remembers the ordered, or the order in which you actually inserted the item. So if you are using an above version of 3.7, you may not even look into this. Okay, so the next container we are going to be discussing is the default dictionary. So default dictionary is actually similar to the normal dictionary. The only difference is that there will be a default value. So if you just don't set a key and a value, if you don't set a value for a key, then the program or the container will actually set it to a default value. So in normal dictionaries or in normal cases, you'll get a key error. Here instead you'll get a default value in return. So to use it, we'll say from collections import, and we'll have to import default dictionary, and let's say D is equal to default dictionary of n. So we are actually specifying the data type to be in here, and we'll say D of A is equal to 1 and D of B is equal to 2. And now if I print D of A, and if I just run the program, we get 1 here. Now if I try D of B, and if I run the program, you get 2 here. But if I say D of C, so we don't have C here, and if I run the program, we get 0 here. So since it's int, we get a default value of 0. So if I just change this to float and run the program, you get 0.0 here. So if it's actually a normal dictionary in this case, if I just change this to a normal dictionary and run the program, you can see we get a key error here. So that is why we need default dictionary here. So in this case will be returned with a default value. So in this tutorial I'll be talking about decay or deque or DEQUE or whatever you want to call it. I really can't seem to pronounce it. DEQUE. So yeah. Okay, this is also a type of queue. Normally in queues you can only add items or add elements at the rear end or at the back of the queue. So in this case you can actually add elements from both sides. So that is the speciality of this deque. So it is actually a double-ended queues and it can be used to add or remove elements from both ends. So we use it by saying from collections and we are going to import deque, DEQUE, and yeah. So now we can actually say D is equal to DQ. Yes, now we can actually, so we have declared the dictionary there and now we can say D. So we have declared our deque there and now let's add items using D dot append, and now let me add some items. We'll say 1 and let's add another item 2 maybe. Now if I print D and run the program, you can see that both of these items has been added. So when we actually add an item, it is added to the rear end. So if I just say 3 and if I just run the program, yeah, it is actually added to the back end. So now if we just want to add an item in the front, we can say D dot append left and I'll add 0 there, and if I just run the program you can see that 0 has been added to the left. So this is how you actually add items. So in order to remove or in order to delete an item, you can actually say, so we can actually remove using the pop method. So I say d dot pop, and if I run the program the last item is removed. So let me print this before popping this out. I say print D here, and then after popping out we are printing it again. So if I just run the program we can see that the last item has been removed. So if you just want to remove an item from the left, we can say maybe D dot pop left, and if I run the program you can see that an item has been removed from the left and actually 0 has been removed from the left. So this is how you can actually remove elements from the list. So now if you actually want to, we can actually add a list of items to this deque. So we can say d dot extend, and we can actually add a list inside here. So I can say maybe 10 10 11 and 12, and if I just run the program you can see that 10 11 12 has been added. So you can add multiple elements in this way, and you can actually do this same thing in the left side as well. So let me just remove this and I say d dot extend left. We have a method for that, and inside we should have a list with 10 11 and 12, and if I run the program you can see that these three elements have been added to the left side. So that is all everything about containers or collections in Python.